Welcome to the video demo series for Configure.IT. Unleash the hassle-free way to build bug-free mobile apps in the quickest possible turnaround time. In this video, we're going to continue the external API video by designing the front end to show all of the rover pictures. So now we need to go ahead and design our front end, and to do that we go ahead and click over to our mobile configurator, and we'll go ahead and drop some controls on our main view here. The first control we're going to use is a text field, and we'll drop that on. Now we'll go ahead and configure this control. Let's see, the position, we'll go ahead and put it at 10. We'll move it up to say 30. The width we'll do 300, and then the height we'll just go ahead and leave it 30. I'd like to go ahead and label all of my object IDs as they come in. So in this one we're going to do text rover name, and that'll just make it easier to identify later. The next one we want to do is for our date, and we're going to use our date picker, and we'll go ahead and drag that over as well. Now we can go ahead and change the coordinates and the size of the date picker. For the date picker, we'll go ahead and we'll kind of line them up. And we'll do the width of 300, the height we'll do 35, it's fine. Okay, and we'll go ahead and change the object ID, and we'll need to go ahead and format this because as you can see the date is in the wrong format. We need to have this in year year dash month dash day format, and we'll go ahead and just copy that as the selected date format as well. That way it's in the correct format for the API. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and delete the title, because what we're going to do is we're going to drop in a label, and that label is going to receive the value of the date picker. And so for the label, we'll go ahead and adjust its size and coordinates as well. And so we'll make it this, basically we're going to overlap the label with the date picker. So we're going to change the X position to 10, the Y position is going to be 70, the width is 300, and the height will be 35. And we'll change this to label date. So for the text here, what we're going to do is we're going to change it from label to select date. So, and then we're going to move the date picker to be below the label date, and basically what that does is in the mobile app it puts the date picker on top of the the label date layer, and so when the user selects it, they're actually selecting the date picker, not the actual label date. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take out the color background for the date picker. We're going to say none. So now you can see the select date, and we're going to change the receiver ID for the date picker. We're going to select the label date. So what this does is when you select a date from the date picker, it actually puts the value for the label date that we can use for our API. Now, to make things look a little bit better, we're going to go back to label date, and we're going to add a background. So we'll just search for color. The background color, we'll just make it white. So now that we have our input parameters, we can go ahead and add our data source. So we'll go ahead and click on data source, add data source. And now we're going to go ahead and select it, which will be down at the bottom, rover photos. Now we need to go ahead and put in our values. For rover name, we're going to select form object, text rover name. Earth date, we're going to again select form object, and we're going to choose label date because that's where the date picker is sending the value for. For API key, we're going to go ahead and just leave it as static, and we'll just go ahead and paste in the API key. Hit execute. Now we have our output parameters. We'll click save. Now we need a way to go ahead and call that API. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to add a button. So we're going to just click and drag over the button. Now we'll go ahead and size and reconfigure it. So we'll do 10, 115, 300, and 44 is fine. So now let's go ahead and change the name of the button. So normal, instead of saying button, we'll go ahead and say get pictures. Okay, perfect. So now we need to go ahead and add a way to display the pictures. So the way we're going to do that is with a grid view. So we'll click on grid view, we'll click and drag it over. Now we can go ahead and configure the placement, and the only thing we're going to do is just move it down just a couple of pixels just to give it a little bit more room. Now we need to go ahead and add some spacings between the cells to give them some room. So the way we're going to do that is come over here and space between grid tiles. We're going to just go ahead and change that to 10. Now we can come back over to the object tree, expand the grid view, and click on grid cell, and we can change the size of each cell. And for this instance, we're going to use 100 by 100. Now to actually display the photos, we need to go ahead and add an image view. So we can click on image view and just drop it right in the cell. And we'll change the height to 100 as well so that it goes ahead and fills up the cell. So while we're on the image view, we'll go ahead and select our key name to data, which is going to display the picture. So we're going to choose RP image source 1, which is coming from our data source. So now we need to be able to call this API. And the way we're going to call this API is on the load of the grid view. So when that grid view loads, we're going to have it go ahead and call the API. And the way we do that is by clicking on Actions, and on Load, we select Trigger Data Source API Call, and we go ahead and select our rover photos and click Save. So now that the grid view will call the API when it loads, we need to be able to force the grid view to reload itself. And the way we do that is we're going to take the Get Pictures button, and we're going to create an action that is going to reload the grid view. So when we click the button, we're going to change object properties, and we're going to select the grid view. So grid view 1, save, and then we're going to reload the view. And what that'll do is that will force the grid view to reload, and as we know, what we just said is when it reloads, it's going to call that API. So that's it. That's how we configure an external API. So let's take a look to see how it works in the app. Okay, so here's our previewed app. As you can see, it's loaded up. We'll go ahead and type in curiosity, and we'll select a date. We'll go ahead and choose, let's choose September 1st. Then hit Get Pictures. And there you go. You can scroll through the pictures. You can go even further if you wanted to by when you select a row or select a picture that it would go ahead and open up in full size. We're not going to do that in this one. It's kind of out of scope, but you could actually watch some of our other videos to see how to do that. You can select a different date. Let's go to August 31st. We'll click Get Pictures. And here's our whole set of new pictures. So I hope this video has been helpful in helping you to configure external APIs. For more information, visit our Help Center or stay connected via the Support Ticket portal or live chat where our support team will assist you. Keep configuring.